All right, we're back with Real Estate Uncovered, episode number 4. Today we're going to do insider trading. Now, I probably have a number of other videos that I'd really like to get out to you guys, but I did promise that I would do insider trading. I suspect a number of you out there are probably saying, how the heck is he going to explain insider trading in real estate? This isn't the stock market. Well, one of the many descriptions that we can use to describe what realtors do is they trade in real estate. So without holding anything else back from you guys, let's pop over to the whiteboard and I will explain to you how I came across my first example of insider trading. Okay, so I got to get this thing set up here so that you guys understand how the deal was structured, and therefore you guys will be able to see how these two realtors took part in insider trading and took advantage of, well, quite a few people. So just to start things off here, I want to show you guys that over here we have the seller, and in this scenario it's a bank-owned repossession. Okay, so the bank took the house back from somebody, and then once all the paperwork was done, legally speaking, they were able to put it back on the market and put it up for sale. Now, what the bank usually does in this situation is they will list it, say, on a Monday, but then they will leave instructions on the listing to leave the listing or any offers open until Friday at 6 o'clock. If you guys, let's just go off on a little tangent here. If you guys remember episode 1 where I taught you guys about how realtors will hold back your guys' listings to try and double in the commissions, and in turn that's hurting you guys as sellers because you can't get multiple offers. Well, the banks, the financial institutions have figured this out, that hey, all we got to do is list the property, but then leave the listing open for 4 or 5 days and tell any buyer that makes an offer that they are to leave their offer open until Friday at 6. Okay, and that removes the ability of the realtor to hold the listing back and try and double end it. It also induces multiple offers to drive the price of the property up. So that's what we got over here. Okay, and here's the realtor that's representing the financial institution. Now the bank is asking $400K on this property, and on Monday, from Monday to Friday, what ended up happening is there were 4 buyers. Sometime during the week, buyer 1 makes an offer of $390K plus a financing condition. Buyer 2 makes an offer of $390K but has a home inspection and financing condition. Buyer 3 makes an offer at $400K with a home inspection and financing condition. And here's where it gets a little greasy. The 4th buyer ends up being a realtor. Okay, and what's greasy about this is this realtor here and this realtor here are friends. They were friends before they became realtors, okay? And so what ends up happening, and actually maybe I better just stop, and I want to say something here. The reason I'm indirectly involved in this is buyer 2 and buyer 3 contacted me for a home inspection, and what ended up happening is they didn't get the deal. And a couple days after, when I found out that they didn't get the home, I just started asking a few questions, and I just haphazardly came across some information. So what ended up happening is, so buyer 1, 2, and 3, they make their offers throughout the week. Buyer 4 is a realtor who's friends with this realtor over here, and this individual waits until Friday at 5:30. Remember I said the bank left it open till 6 p.m.? This individual here waits until 5:30 on Friday, and I was informed that this individual makes a phone call to his friend who's the realtor representing the bank. So there's this conversation that happens a half hour before the bank closes all offers, and it just ends up that this individual here makes an offer $5,000 more than the next best financial offer and doesn't have any conditions, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that just says everything about what's going on here. So clearly this realtor here released the information of these 3 buyers so that their friend, who's also a realtor, could make the best offer by $5,000 only. I mean, this just says too much about what's going on here. On top of that, I know these people. I've been watching them for 13 years. I've been observing them. I've been documenting what they do, and I know that during this conversation, information was released, and that is the insider trading in here. Is this realtor released information from these 3 buyers so that this buyer, who's a realtor, could make the best financial offer. And they did. The bank accepted this offer, okay, and they ended up getting the house. Now, the kicker on top of all of this is the commission that the bank was paying out was approximately $15,000 on the $400,000 asking price. So each side would get $7,500. So this realtor over here is going to get $7,500. Well, who gets this $7,500? Well, guess what? Buyer 4, right, is a realtor, so they represented themselves. And so not only did they get the property through the insider information, but they also get another $7,500 in commission. So I want to ask you guys a question here. Now, I already know the answer to this, but what do you guys think? Do you think that there was, out of this $7,500 commission that this realtor here makes for just filling in some paperwork, involving themselves in insider trading in order to get this deal done? Out of this $7,500, do you think maybe a couple $1,000s of this went over to this realtor here? Well, of course it did. This realtor here is not going to take the risk of releasing this type of information for free, even if they are friends, right? So I can almost guarantee you that part of this commission went in a cash kickback to this realtor over here. So let's pop over to back over to my desk, and I'll show you what you guys can do to protect yourselves. All right, guys, back at my desk here. Just before I show you basically the only way that you guys are going to be able to maybe protect yourself in regards to this, I want to ask you a quick question. So who do you guys think got walked all over in that scenario that I just showed you on the whiteboard? Well, if you answered everybody but the 2 realtors, you're correct. And the reason is because if buyer 4 doesn't get the inside information about the other 3 buyers and what they offered, they potentially end up making a larger offer, which puts more money in the bank's pocket. So the bank got walked all over in this situation. And then the other side of it is, well, maybe buyer 4, if he doesn't get the inside information, maybe they end up making an offer that isn't as good as somebody else's. And so maybe one of the buyer 1, buyer 2, or buyer 3, maybe they end up getting the property, right? So literally everyone in that deal got walked all over except for the 2 realtors. So when it comes to protecting yourself, guys, basically the only thing you can do is watch out for this particular document. Here in the Canadian Midwest, it's Form 802. It is titled Disclosure of Interest in Trade. Down in the States, you guys may have something different, but it will probably have a similar title. You can obviously call your local Realtors Association and ask, just say, hey, like, what sort of documents do you guys have for realtors when they need to disclose that they are involved in a deal? So this disclosure of interest in trade not only is for a realtor when they're involved in a deal as a buyer or seller, but it also, I believe, from my readings here over the last couple of nights, it also requires them if they're representing one of their family members, immediate family members, children, spouse, that sort of thing. So watch out for that document. Yeah, if you guys come across, if you're a buyer or a seller and you guys come across this disclosure of interest in trade, let your spidey senses tingle all over the place because a realtor is involved in your deal. And like I said earlier in the video, I've been watching these people for 13 years and, well, they are not exactly people of integrity. Let's just put it that way. So as always, guys, knowledge is power. I hope you really enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you on episode 5. I believe I got something real good for you guys on that one. So you guys have a good night.